Good evening, ladies and gentlemen and MBs all across the internet. You already know what time it is. This is the Smoke Break with DJ Stealth and the Trouble One.
Me?
Yes, you are the troublesome one.
Yes, I am.
You're the troublemaker. I'm the beastmaker. And tonight we have a very, very special guest, a legendary guest, actually. Go ahead and introduce yourself to the world.
Hello, everyone. I'm J. Stan McCauley, a local guy here around town, trying to do my best to keep people informed and give people a voice.
Yes, that's right.
So, you have this show, everyone watches it, so we're really honored that you're on our show because everyone knows all things Hartford. You go to your Twitter page, you have a Twitter that we retweet at times. You have your Facebook page, which people follow. So you're kind of a big deal because you always broadcast around town, so you're always where things happen. So
Yeah, that's I am generally where things are happening. I never really think of myself as somebody that other people are retweeting and following and things like that. So that's I guess that's good news because obviously we want people to know about stuff, and in this modern age of social media, I guess that's great. Yeah.
yeah, you're kind of a big deal around town because everyone knows your name. So everyone knows whether or not they disagree with you. You're president of the Greater Hartford African American Alliance.
Yep.
Um, so you're always there at the school board meetings. You kind of know what's going on around town. And I know you've ran for mayor a couple times.
Yes.
And then this time you were kind of standing on the sidelines, and then you decided to run for mayor again. But when you pull up, I don't think people know you pull up in the most awesome manner, that bus. And I wish I knew you were about to pull in because that entrance at Kimura's this weekend was amazing. If someone needs a DJ and Assad's not available, they need to hire you.
Well, they don't need to hire me. They need to hire the driver. Yeah. So, brother Marcus, that's my my ride or die buddy. Yeah, he does audio. So I do video. I dabble in audio, but he does sound. So he does sound from inside our mobile campaign office and through the windows to a park as big as the Bushnell. So he is the sound guy, and he likes to make an entrance. So when he pulled in, you can't help but know he's there.
Yeah, and we tweeted out the video as much as we could get because as soon as I saw you, I had to capture it. The way that everyone was just captivated, we all kind of circled around. You see my son and a whole bunch of kids like, who's this? And I remember telling my son, I'm like, yeah, that's the guy who's on the side of the van and he's running for mayor. And he's like, oh. So it was pretty awesome just to see you pull up in the community. But I mean, you're always here anyways.
Yeah, I like to I like telling Hartford's story. For me, capturing the stories of Hartford, the people of Hartford, has been like one of my greatest joys. I'm a free speech absolutist. I believe people should be able to say whatever is on their hearts, whatever is on their minds. If what they say piss people off, then they have to deal with the fact that they've pissed people off, or the people that are pissed off got to deal with them. So I'm a big fan of owning your words, no anonymous posts. And I believe that if people were, true and honest and spoke their minds, we would be a lot better off because then you'd know where you need to start. Then you can really understand where people are coming from. You can make the adjustments. Everybody's not going to always get along. And I kind of look at ideas like, food on a menu. Very rarely do you see people go out to eat. They sit down and they start, beefing and going off because someone over there is eating an egg salad sandwich. Well, I don't like egg salad sandwich. Who you think you are eating an egg salad sandwich? We got an egg salad sandwich eater over here. Let's jump him and beat him to death. So I mean, that's how I feel about that's how I feel about free speech. Golden rule number one when broadcasting: turn off phone. I should know better.
You know what?
Um,
It happens to the best of
it,
us.
it
I've
happens
actually
to the
had to make the
best,
commercial
so it
many
had to
times.
happen to me, right? No, I'm just joking. The But ideas that people have, I think, help people grow. And we're not all supposed to have the same ideas. And to me, true diversity is when you have diversity of thought. And so I like to surround myself with people who disagree with me, because then I find I grow. The reason I probably disagree is because my point of view is ignorant of the other person. So how can they help me better understand the world? How can they better help me understand myself? So I've been giving people voice for over 40 years. I go out and I videotape and give people voice. I generally do it on my own dime because, I consider myself a blessed individual, and I think blessed people owe it to be a blessing to other people. So, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, because how can you really truly learn if everyone thinks exactly the same?
Right.
You need new ideas to bounce off of each other. Then both of you are creating something new that neither one of you thought of.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then if you I think the worst thing that people can do is to surround themselves with yes people.
Oh, yes.
Oh,
Thank you. I've been
yes.
saying that for the longest.
That's like a disaster waiting to happen. You
You
get,
get tired of it and you can't grow. And I mean, if you're smart enough, you get sick of it.
mm-hmm.
And if you're not, then you just get this unchecked ego and you're just going to fall apart.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I think it's a tragedy when people in leadership positions surround themselves with people who aren't, one, smarter than they are, two, agree with everything they say, and three, are yes people. And so, that usually to me is a sign of insecurity. If the person is in charge, they're in charge by default of the position, title, or chair that they occupy. And it's not really them that has the authority. It's the title, the position, or the chair that has the authority. And so smarter people than you help you do a better job. So anytime I can surround myself with people who know more than me, particularly on anything, I count it a blessing. So
You want to hear something funny? So there's this rapper. Her name is Glorilla. She's very young, up and coming.
mm-hmm.
So the internet actually had this huge debate over this common sense thing you just said, because she said, I don't want to be the smartest person in the room. And they said, oh, she wants to be dumb. No. Glorilla said she doesn't want to be the smartest person in the room because she wants to learn from people who are smarter than her.
Mm-hmm.
And so many people were ignorant to the message she was sending, which is if you're the smartest person in the room, get out and go to the next room because you're teaching everyone instead of learning.
Right.
And sometimes it's okay to be a teacher, but you need to grow yourself. So it was a shame to see that in our society, that this really smart, talented young girl is her words are being taken out of context. And I really worry about society, kind of like you said, yes men.
They didn't even give a thought to where she comes from, her background. She's from Memphis.
Mm-hmm.
She's from a church home.
Mm-hmm.
So her discovery of hip hop was late in her youth,
mm-hmm.
compared to the rest of us that grew up with it since the beginning. So she discovers hip hop at 16, and now at the age of 24, she's one of the rising stars in hip hop.
Mm.
And her voice is different, her subject matter is different, and she's managed to curate a mixed audience of both male and female fans without selling sexuality as a point to attract her male fans.
Mm-hmm.
So with all of that, she's just a small fish in a big pond. So she has plenty of room to learn, and she wants that.
Mm-hmm.
But
They're making fun of her because she wants to learn.
Well, you know, there will always there's always going to be a critic, and you know, I have a saying that says, you know, people have a right to disagree with you, and it's not my business what other folks say about me. So you know, they got a right to say whatever they want. It matters what they say only if you make it matter. So they have a right to be wrong. Let them be wrong and say whatever they want, and keep it stepping. Because if you believe a thing, and you know, your thoughts are the greatest natural resource you have. If you believe a thing to be so, go out there and make it happen. Don't let the naysayers get in the way of your success. Don't let them crush your dream. There's always going to be a parade of people waiting on the sidelines to crush whatever dream you have. You'll find people will be jealous. They'll undermine. They'll backstab. This, that, and the third. It's a good idea to just get away from those kinds of people, because they're not there to help you. They're there to hinder you. And I think the sooner people can differentiate between helpers and hinderers, the sooner they start on their path to success. Because most successful people had someone telling them that wouldn't work. You know, that's not going to work. Oh, yeah. Who you think you are? You think you smart? You know, I mean, thank you for warning me. I won't be back. And just step on. You know, but the young lady is clearly someone who's quite insightful, and she did the right thing. Step out from them and go find someplace else, because you know, I always like to point at Google. You know, I'm not a PhD. I'm nowhere near, but Google hires PhDs. Like, can you imagine sitting in a room of creative people who everyone is a PhD, and you're just bouncing ideas off of one another, and you've got the freedom to do what you want and the money and the resources to just try stuff. And when you get around people that are free thinkers, willing to try things, willing to try something and it doesn't work, and tweak it, or realize, we tried that, it didn't work, let's try something else, and not afraid to fail, you know, and just keep trying until you get it perfected. So the more you're around people who are like-minded, only in this sense that they're free thinkers and willing to take a risk, the better. Because those are the kinds of people who have ideas. That's one thing that I think is so important to understand about Hartford. Part of my, run for mayor in the campaign is I believe that all of the things that Hartford needs in terms of its future are in Hartford. They're in Hartford. They don't need to be imported here from somewhere else. They're here, and no one listens to the people of Hartford. The people of Hartford are treated like the young lady you were talking about. Well, I have an idea. Well, who are you? Well, I was born and raised in Hartford. Oh, an instant disqualifier. What do they know? I mean, that's how Hartford is treated. And I've seen that happen to people that are considered the more well-to-do in the West End, to folk all the way down in the lower ends of what people may say. No one listens to Hartford people. To me, it's the most frustrating thing to witness and document. But my camera's given me the ability to go in, have conversations with people, and more importantly, listen to people's conversations. And when you listen to people's conversations, you start to hear the wisdom, and you start to see that the person that lives over on Park Street is no different than the person that lives on Albany Avenue, who's no different than the person that lives on Evergreen, and no difference than the person that lives up on Farmington Avenue, or on the south side of Farmington Avenue, or the north side of Farmington Avenue, or on one side of the block on Enfield Street. There's a good part of Enfield Street and a bad part of Enfield. I mean, Hartford is a funny town. So
it really is.
You cross the street, you're in another neighborhood. Only in Hartford is the other side of the street another neighborhood. But it's one city, one neighborhood, one great group of people with ethnic diversity that puts us, as an international city. And I think it's time that people start tapping into who we are as people in Hartford, have some pride in who we are, stop being apologetic about who we are, and turn our city into a force to be reckoned with on the world stage. It can be done with the people we have here in Hartford.
Yes.
Yes.
Now, I need you to hold that thought. We're about to cut to commercial break, but before we do, just wanted to let you guys know that we have a couple sponsors today. So right now we're smoking out of a Hempire cone. Give me the box real quick. Here we go. So Hempire, we did tag them in the post earlier, and these are actually really clean burning.
Yes.
So yeah, if we were asked to spend money on this in the future, we would.
Highly recommended.
Like I thought it was gonna be funny tasting because there's been other papers that we will not name, and well, yeah, there's been other papers that we wouldn't recommend, but yeah, we will recommend these. And that we met them at NECAN and they were awesome. So thank you very much. We will be smoking you guys next week. Next, where's the one hitter?
Okay, so this is another addition to our usual sponsorship.
Yes, right here. This is going to be DJ Stealth's first time using this. Now, it blew my mind, but I want him to give me an honest review of the one hitter.
Okay, and I will be using Snoop Dogg
Bic lighter.
Bic lighter. That's the man right there.
And thank you very much, Bic, for the lighter. And we did get our pick of Snoop Dogg lighters. So.
All right.
Yo, right? Doesn't that hit like a spliff instead of a one hitter?
Yes.
Thank you.
No, that's the plugs for the cannabis culture. Now for
no, be honest though. Doesn't it hit like a spliff instead of a little glass one hitter?
Yeah, it doesn't make you feel like you're doing something bad. It's an easy way to consume. And
now the difference though, real quick, is the mesh right here and so that is the difference, and it is still a one hitter. And a message from Kimura's Cultural Corner. It is a video that tells you everything she does and nothing, but make sure to check out Kimura's Cultural Corner for more because it's just awesome.
Practicing and living in community means that we're responsible to ourselves and others. It means that we're committed to engaging humbly and bravely with others who we may not agree with, but who share a similar worldview. Tensions and conflicts are gifts that allow us to grow together. Join our peaceful revolution.
And we're back with J. Stan McCauley, who is telling us all about how Hartford solutions are already in the city and they don't need to be imported. And here we go.
All right. One of my favorite human beings in the world, Kimura Harrington. Yes, absolutely. Support her to 110%.
Hold on. Is that the static on mine or yours?
Yours.
Oh boy, should we switch?
Can you hear me?
We're having audio difficulties.
Yeah, we can hear you though. Do you hear static on your end from us?
No.
Okay.
Okay. Leave any comments below if you hear static. Okay. And just go ahead.
Okay. So the situation with Hartford's brain trust, those would be those individuals who I guess sit in the high towers to determine whether or not they actually want to listen to the small little people like us. And I've had opportunity to have my cameras in their presence as well. And one of the things I think is interesting is there seems to be this idea or notion that somebody has to determine what is best for everybody else. And to me, I find that to be sad. But I think Hartford has come to a place where it's beginning to understand that it does have options, and that if the people come together and rally and start to believe in one another and lift one another up, that, together Hartford can rise. And it's interesting that you played that little piece about Kamora's Cultural Corner, because her piece spoke to what we were just kind of like talking about, where there's cultural humility and people that don't agree coming together and hearing one another. I think when you find communities where there is a thriving communities, they've already overcome that challenge. And Hartford's been a city of silos for so long that people find comfort in their own little silo or echo chamber where they talk back and forth about the things that are near and dear to them and in the silo, but they don't get along with people outside the silo. So until we work together to move things forward, we're not going to get far. I can't hear you. I can't hear you guys. Yeah, we can't hear you. You can hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh, I can hear you now.
Okay, perfect. So we're using my mic.
Okay.
Okay. So what I was going to say is I was criticizing Governor Lamont.
Oh, okay.
And I was saying that he surrounds himself around a whole bunch of yes men. I believe it's a hindrance to progress.
Absolutely.
And a lot of state reps, unfortunately, they are very sensitive to criticism. Instead of taking feedback, knowing that people might say things online, what I find that they do is they dig their heels more. And
they double down.
They double down. And if a whole bunch of people are talking crap and everything else, just understand that they might be in desperate situations, so they don't have time to be nice. You're on the taxpayer dime.
Absolutely.
So if someone's in the middle of an eviction, they don't have time for you to sit there and consider rent caps. They're going to call you a jerk.
Well, I think what happens with elected officials is they become elected officials instead of elected representatives.
Yeah.
Our system is designed that we have people who represent us, but they still work for us. And that little teeny part they forget. They are our representatives. Of course, now as a candidate for mayor, I am applying to have the executive seat in the city. I'm applying for a job. And every last person that is a voter or an elector or citizen of Hartford are my potential employers, my potential board of directors, if you will, who I am accountable to and answerable to. But as a constituent, when I go to talk to elected officials, they're not doing me a favor for listening. They're not doing me a favor for letting me have access to my tax dollars. It's like going to the bank and you want to take money out of the bank, and they say, well, I'll tell you what we're going to do, Mr. McCauley. I think that your plan sounds solid, and I think maybe we might let you have, what do you think, Bobby? Maybe $5. I think he's good. Let me see if we can get $5. You know what? Give me all of my money and let me close out the account and move on. And so I love when politicians talk about the money they got for you. It's not your money. You ain't cutting a check out of your private account. You're redistributing the taxpayers' dollars. So all of us are equal when it comes to going up and asking for money from the big piggy bank from which we all make our contributions. Now, you can't give money to everybody. I guess you're going to have some sort of system where you evaluate who gets what, who's got priorities here and there. And that's a fair argument. It's a fair debate, a fair discussion. But to dismiss constituents, to treat them like they don't matter, that is unacceptable. To me, that is an application for dismissal. That is time to go out and start getting signatures for their removal. And
can we talk about how hard it is to primary candidates after you finish what you said? Because you're right.
How hard it is to primary candidates?
Yeah, we actually have some of the most restrictive primary laws in the nation.
Yes.
Several candidates, both Democrat and Republican last year, filed lawsuits because of it. Well, that actually needs to be changed. That's why we never have primaries in Connecticut. Maud Herezi was a very big deal because he's possibly the closest that you've gotten in a while.
He was running against John Larson, right? Yeah. Yeah, in fact, we had him on our program at one point. Yeah, those are party rules. I'm a Democrat. I've been cross-endorsed by the Republicans.
I remember.
Pedro Segarra was cross-endorsed by the Republicans. Everyone's cross-endorsed by the Republicans in Hartford because there aren't any. So they have to find someone who's not a Republican to run for them. Having said that, the party is the one having the primary. And so the party rules, it would be very difficult to change that in Connecticut. The only way to change that is for people to get involved in the party and then make those changes. Because the political party is still a mechanism that represents the people. So your town committee folk are the heart of the party. Because those people are elected by you and me to represent us at the party level. So people need to have far more conversations with their town committee folk so that their town committee people understand more that they're accountable to you, the electorate, than they are the party bosses. All right. And so all government is local. It really does work from the ground up. When it stops working from the ground up, then it becomes top heavy down, and then they become officials instead of representatives. So it's easy to take back. If that's the change people want, they have to be involved, and they got to go to the different meetings that they have. They got to go to when they have town committee meetings, they have to show up at those things. They got to show up at city council meetings. They got to show up at Board of Education meetings, because all of those people in your absence will do what they think is best. And, people generally don't go out and get the opinions of folk that they don't agree with, because most people are not like yourselves and me, want to hear from the people they disagree with. They generally will cancel them out, shut them down. That's when they bring in the security expert. It's extra security. Well, the crowd might get ruckus, so we have extra security in case you ask us a question we don't want to answer. That kind of stuff, which is ridiculous. But if we put up with it, we have the government we voted for, therefore we have the government we deserve, because we could always vote them out. And that voting amount has to be followed with action. It's not something people can say. It's something people have to demonstrate. So to me, no one should run unopposed. Nobody. I don't care who they are. No one should run unopposed. So after I win in November, I should be challenged. I should be challenged. I'm never good enough that someone doesn't need to challenge me. No one is. And so that's something that they have to prove on an ongoing basis. And you get to do that every 4 years in Hartford. Once upon a time it was every 2 years, but since the strong mayors come around, every 4 years they should be challenged. That's how you keep them in check. Because if you don't keep them in check, it doesn't really matter who it is. In time, people become people. And if you don't keep them accountable, then they will become out of control. And in my opinion, accountable means consequence. There's no such thing as accountability without consequence. So if someone does something, it's not personal. We got to put you in check, right? We got hard check. So, there has to be, there has to be a level of humility for those who are in positions of leadership. If they don't show it naturally, then you bring it out of them the old-fashioned way. Show up with some signs. Stand out in front of their house. And then don't let them bamboozle you with false promises, and don't let them get away with not delivering when they tell you something. That's how you hold these people in check.
When I did that.
Well, you won't be arrested when you stand in front. Well, first of all, there won't be no need for you to stand in front of my house. However, if you choose to do so, you will not be arrested for exercising your free speech.
Yeah. And I mean, I just wanted to spark a conversation, Matt Ritter. I'm glad you introduced the legalization bill on an emergency basis the day before a court date.
Is that?
It was like, I guess a no harm, no foul, because he didn't pursue charges. So, we kind of smoked weed in front of his house on the sidewalk and were arrested for it. Well, for trespassing.
Trespassing. Well, yeah. I can see where certain people will do these things. That doesn't mean that, so did he go all the way with how did it end up?
So, the charges were dropped. He didn't want to pursue them, and he introduced the legalization bill on an emergency basis the day before our court dates.
Oh, so your action worked.
Yeah, and it was mostly an action for homegrown, and we wanted equity in the bill. So those dollars in cannabis, they should go to us. They should go to the hood kids. They should go to the people that went to jail for this. We need to release all of them. It should go to the people that were most impacted, not to some general fund.
I would agree with you on that. I mean, if you're going to bring cannabis to a place where it's legal, as it is, then the people who were most impacted from it should be the first in line to receive the benefit of it. The fight for legalization of cannabis in my orbit goes to Cliff Thornton, who's, I don't know if you all are familiar with Cliff. He ran for governor a couple times here in Hartford, but he was one of the early warriors here in Hartford area and across the country. And if you took the profit out of the illegal underground market and put those profits where they could bear the most use, you'd change a lot of the things that are wrong within the society in terms of the violence, and you would undercut some of the the monies of the people who are making hundreds of millions of dollars, who use those who are on the street level, and wind up making hundreds of millions of dollars off of them every which way but sundown, and then they wind up in jail for something that no one else is serving time for. So yeah.
Now that you mentioned that, you reminded me kind of Ronald Reagan, right? So my goal is to own a dispensary with my family. I want to change the law to where it's equitable enough, and whatever. I'm also social equity applicable, but I want to be a bigger drug dealer than Ronald Reagan.
Well, Reagan was pretty big, and not as big as the Sackler family, but
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
You got to be big enough to buy an insurance company. There you go, the old-fashioned way, right?
Yes.
But yes, Ollie North. I remember that whole thing. Yes, I was.
North, Danilo Blandone.
Yeah.
You and I were born the year that it was like really going on.
Yeah, I was. I remember it like it was yesterday. The whole. I'm 63, so I remember all of that. In fact, during that whole Iran-Contra controversy, the Jimmy Swaggart issue came up, and it served as a great distraction. So there's a lot of threads that need to be threaded as we go back in time and look at some of these things. But it's always when the big guys get caught up. and the way they exploit. So you've got a lot of people who are out there colonizing. They come into cities, they exploit the people, they reap whatever profits that are there, and they put people in positions of great power, and the people become marginalized. And as long as they're marginalized, then they become dependent on the very people who should be serving them. Instead, they wind up being exploited. And,
Right. The black and brown communities and the Native American reservations.
Yeah. So we got to divest away from fossil fuels, divest in hemp. We have to, move away from opiates, move towards cannabis. Divest in the private prison industrial system, invest in mental health and housing. So, I mean,
absolutely.
They're talking about bringing a hockey stadium now to Hartford. And I'm like, who's going to pay for it?
There's talk of bringing a hockey team. What they want to do is
he's meeting with the owner,
Lamont.
Lamont.
Yeah, Lamont. As to whether or not they come here will remain to be seen. But the stadium, they want to invest, I guess, $100 million to revamp that stadium. Brighter minds than mine are behind that, but I would question whether or not there are activities that would support that kind of investment in an arena like the Excel Center at this stage of the game, particularly when you consider that the casinos and the Indian tribes have facilities that could almost do the same thing. So who's benefiting? All right, for us in our campaign, everything comes down to impact. What's the impact on the constituent from this action that you're undertaking? Not who can make money. All right. It's always about how much money can be made, and therefore from those profits a tax can be drawn. But the tax is so minimal when you consider the enormity of the profit made that it's almost like a little sleight of hand payoff. If you guys just be quiet and take this and go away. And you kind of get that feeling. And meanwhile, you're footing the bill. All right, tax dollars are your dollars. They're your dollars. And so it wouldn't be so bad if there were no poor people in Hartford. This is like, depending upon who you ask or what research you look at, this is either the 4th or the 8th poorest city of its size in the country. Hartford camouflages and hides its poverty very, very well. But this is an extremely impoverished city. There's a lot of money in Hartford, in the corporate sector, government, the seat of power here for the state. So there's a lot of money in Hartford, but the people in Hartford are poor. Hartford is small enough that poverty should be, it should be a mark against leadership in the capital city, from state leadership to municipal leadership to even religious and business leadership, that the city is stuck in this pool of poverty, and it's okay with the people who can actually make a change. So, if poverty was gone in Hartford and they eliminated poverty, then we could have those other conversations, but not at the expense of those who are trapped in poverty. You go to other foreign countries where they are producing, as you mentioned about the fossil fuels, the people in those countries are not poor. Everyone is good to go. All right. And it's reflected in the society around them. If we had leadership that said, okay, there's an opportunity to make hundreds of millions of dollars in Hartford, but before we walk away with hundreds of millions of dollars, let's make the people who actually live here whole, so that they're not scraping and struggling. So that we could at the very least have the conversation from between the haves and the have-nots, if the haves were willing to do their fair share in making sure that the have-nots are no longer the have-nots, because they're making their money off of all of us. The quote-unquote have-nots go to the store and they pay taxes on things they buy. So it's not like they don't pay tax. They may not be paying income tax because they're not making they're not making money because they may be quote-unquote unemployed. But anytime there's an opportunity to change that dynamic, those dynamics are usually squashed. Because, as I like to say, we are the cotton. We don't need to grow cotton. You don't need to pick cotton. You are the cotton. We are the cotton. So we're used as part of a very intricate and elaborate vote rigging scheme. Because you can be taken off the shelf, sprinkle little monies around, 100,000 here, 300,000 there, 600,000 there, little community groups, and suddenly we go away and we're happy. You vote for who they tell you to vote for, then they put you back on the shelf for 4 years. And nothing changes. And so at some point, the people of Hartford have to realize what's happening to them. They have to rally together, pull their voice together, and vote for leadership that's going to be accountable. And I can really push that now because after 12 years, I haven't changed. My message hasn't changed. And I've been serving the people for 12 years. And if you want a fair assessment of what people are going to do in the future, look at what they've done in the past. All right. If they haven't done squat in the past, then they're not likely to do squat in the future. So there's a lot of people running saying what they're planning to do, yet they've not done anything with all the opportunity that they have. And I don't consider handing out money as part of your job. Doing something. That's your job, right? You're supposed to hand out money to community groups because it's their tax dollars. So I don't consider that I don't consider that a win. I consider that your job, right? On that basis, then we should be electing garbage people, because if they go on strike, we all suffer, right? So if we're going to talk about the people who are doing their job every day in the trenches, on the street, making it clean, making it happen, working against the odds, like the people at DPW, making sure the lawns are all cut. No one champions them when they do their job. Yet politicians want to run around talking about what they did. Like, that's your job. That's why we pay you. You don't get a kudos for that. That's your job. All right. So the kudos should come when we can look at poverty and say, well, poverty has declined. Or we can say jobs in Hartford have increased. And
now I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when the houses over in Chatham Oak and Rice Heights went up for sale.
Mm-hmm.
I was 18 years old, and God, I wish I applied for a home loan at the time, because I think I would have gotten approved, because credit was very loose back then. And the houses were selling between $11,000 to $75,000. When adjusted for inflation, right now in today's dollars, that's between $18,000 to $124,000.
Mm-hmm.
So when adjusted for inflation, that's still extremely low. And that area, me being a Chatham Oak kid, I remember how it used to be. And the same people moved in. And you see how it is now compared to the 80s and 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel it was intentional that they didn't do that in the north end of Hartford and instead made a whole bunch of rentals?
Hartford is the capital city of the richest state in the nation. You can underline this, record it, play it when you go to meetings. Every single decision in this city is a political decision. Nothing happens by accident. Every once in a while, lightning strikes, but nothing happens by accident. So the houses that were rental are rental on purpose. clearly.
Well,
Do you think they should encourage more home ownership and, in a matter of racial equity, maybe seek to do the same thing in the North End and expand it compared to what they're doing now? Because look at the same people from Shadow Oak, and beautifully manicured lawns,
Well, there's
kids playing outside.
yeah, there's a lot to be said for home ownership because, of course, it's now yours. Um, I think there should be every opportunity made possible for home ownership, particularly first-time ownership, because it's an investment into the community. That does come with some challenges because everyone can't afford a home. So what happens to the person that needs to rent or the person that doesn't want to own a home? A lot of people don't want to own homes because, I'm not gonna throw cold water on the idea of home ownership, but having owned 2 homes, I rent. In my mind, I'm good. I don't never want to own another home because the home owns me. I like to be able to folk get funky, neighbor starts walking around upstairs or something like that. I'm that guy that moves. I don't get into neighbor wars. I'll move in a heartbeat. You can't move from your house when your neighbor's going off. But I digress. I think that
No, there should definitely still be affordable housing. You're absolutely right.
Right. So I think the way around what you do is you encourage development where there are houses being built that are affordable in terms of the capacity and the ability to purchase. There are plenty of people making enough money that they can own homes in Hartford. There's a tract of houses that have been built over behind Calvin D. Anderson that have that very thing that I'm talking about in mind. In fact, we had the developer as a guest on our program. Those are homes that people can afford, as opposed to quote unquote what we've come to know as affordable housing, because affordable housing is very subjective. Depending upon what group you're talking about, it could be very affordable. Most of the houses in Hartford are affordable to the people moving up here from Manhattan. All right. But for the people here, they're not houses that they can afford. And so we have to be very intentional on the words that we use because they send mixed messages. Then you have people who are building things like, let's say, I won't pick on the Pennant, but if we were going to pick on somebody, it would be some institution or building like that. And they're going to have set aside a couple of houses for people who are impacted by poverty. The problem is that if it's a HUD house, HUD has bare minimums standards for what they will allow. So you have a facility that has quote unquote affordable housing, but the units don't qualify to be supplemented by HUD. So therefore, they're automatically eliminated. So people come in here, they talk about what they want to do, but then there's no intention to make what the expectation is on the people that are hearing this a reality. Now the thing is built, and then it turns into an oh well. So yes, there needs to be houses that people can afford. Those houses need to be built with intention. They need to be built with an idea that we're going to set these properties aside for individuals who have been impacted historically by poverty. It isn't something that's available to everybody because everybody is not in this place where they need to have this kind of assistance. So there has to be a clear intentionality around crafting legislation that is going to be able to help people get first-time homes in areas where they're comfortable living. Everybody doesn't want to move out to Torrington or out to Barkhamsted or something like that. I want to live right here in Hartford.
House, I would sell it.
Right. I would not
live out in that shit.
Right, the end of my block. At the end of my block is Park Street. All right. On the other end of my block is the Bushnell. So I like my community. I like my neighborhood. I don't want to move out of Hartford to somewhere else. I want to be right here where I am. So there should be opportunities here for the people who are right here in Hartford. And to me, that is why you have representatives in government to help move those agendas forward. and to come up with ways that we can make things happen as opposed to stand in the way of making things happen. There she is. She's back. All right, there's some pretty fancy technology going on there.
Yeah, my laptop died.
That's okay. You guys are pretty quick on that. The switch over would be seamless. The folk, I should stop talking about it because no one knows what's going on. So we just keep it rolling.
Well, I mean,
No. People see it, and
we're
we just
very
switch over.
open about everything.
Yeah, because we're not perfect. Part of my activism is actually I mess up. Sometimes ghetto as hell. I'm a single mom. My inspiration is Erica Garner. One day Erica Garner would be cussing somebody out. The next day she's out there protesting.
Mm-hmm.
So she was a single mom. She publicly grieved. She never hid any of it.
Mm-hmm.
She was an honest person, and I'm like, you know what? I'm a hot mess. But I'm funny online sometimes, and I'm not afraid to, trip and fall during a protest, live streaming and continue doing what I'm doing, or give Senate testimony because, even if I make a mistake, so what? I was the only parent one time on Senate testimony who had a child with autism, so I could describe the experience. Everyone else was a doctor or a lobbyist.
Mm-hmm.
And that really hit me that, like, wow, I was the only representation, and I could tell you the exact wait list time, something that no one else on the call, including the DSS commissioner, could answer. So, I let people know that I mess up all the time. I'm not perfect. I'm uploading a video tonight of a trip and fall I did because I just kept running to go videotape police. I don't care. I'm not perfect, and I want people to just go ahead and have that confidence to do what they do, because if I'm gonna mess up, I don't care. Neither should you. Just go ahead and do it.
Just keep on trucking.
And everybody's show has a contrast, so here I am, the perfectionist, the performer. I hide my mess all the time.
Hi. He's a DJ.
Yes, I'm a DJ. I'm a musician, but I'm also a product of the Urban League program at Weaver Neighborhood Bridges. Shout out to Don Hancock, Trey Jameson, and all the leaders that was there. DJ London, rest in peace. So many names, so many figures that I was kind of under their wing as a teenager at Weaver. So that's what brings me into this kind of atmosphere where I'm on a podcast talking to politicians while I'm blazing herb.
Oh yeah, that's also because he also went viral. I mean, yeah, go viral, but he went viral because he went with Acorn to Fairfield County. He was the youngest protester there, reading a letter about growing up in Clay Arsenal. And they did end up returning the bailouts back in 2008, but I mean, he shouldn't have had to do that. They should never take that money.
Yeah, and then hearing that I'm on Anderson Cooper's show, like, what? I was just on camera just talking. I'm on Anderson Cooper. I'm on every newspaper in the country, and then two or three more newspapers out of the country. I'm in a book. I'm in a thesis somewhere in Spain at the university.
It's weird.
A 24-year-old kid that grew up in the North End, the firstborn Connecticut baby in my family.
Well, why not you, as they say, right?
Exactly.
For such a time as that. For such a time as that, were you prepared? Absolutely.
Yeah. If you find the one intellectual from the environment that I'm from that can articulate where me and my peers grew up.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really think any of us, me or him, were prepared for this. I mean, people walk up all the time like, oh, I saw you on Senate testimony. I love what you're doing. It's like, yo, I hate what I do because, yeah, I might be good at it, but I feel like, solutions are common sense and we shouldn't have to fight our government. So I get kind of resentful sometimes when I keep having to show up to the Capitol like, why aren't y'all listening?
Well, you do. Unfortunately, you do. I wouldn't say. Don't. I would. I would say don't think of it as fighting them. Think of it as keeping them under control. Because if you don't, they will do what they want, and they're not there for that reason. And it is so important that people get involved. You are an inspiration to people who see you go up there. And you already know that when you step into that room, everybody's looking at you. So command their attention, seize the moment, and speak from the heart. And that's how change happens. That's how change happens. Your voice does matter. There are a lot of people who want you to believe that it doesn't. Nothing could be further from the truth. Your voice,
you know what I noticed?
Matters.
I noticed that so lobbyists feed lawmakers all day. But the moment that a constituent reaches out to them, I've seen Rob Sampson propose some real good breast cancer legislation because a constituent told him to, and he's a constituent requested bill. And I'm like, so, and I hate this man's policies, and yeah, he proposed one good bill. Surprisingly enough. So I mean, they all listen. And I noticed once you're from their district, that's the only time they really care. But yeah, more people do need to get involved, like you said.
Yeah, the constituent is at the top of the political food chain. People don't realize that. You are a constituent. It's your government. It literally is your government. That's why I guess maybe that's one reason I'm so fair, I guess, if you could say. Everybody's got biases, and that's just human nature. Food that they like relative to food they don't, or music, the whole nine. But to me, there are a lot of different protected classes. So people are often say, well, how do you feel about this group of people or that group of people, this, that, right? I said, I feel the same about all people. All right? People are people. I said, but when it comes to government, I'm a constituent. I am not a black male. I want to be treated like a black male. I want to be treated like a constituent. When I walk up in this joint, I'm a constituent. I don't want nothing special. Don't set nothing. No. There may be some set asides. I'm not talking against them, but that makes me no longer matter. We have this special cup for you. Why don't you take no, I don't want the special cup. I want access to the water from wherever it came from. I don't want what you got set aside. Oh, these are for Stan. He's a no. Where did you get that water from? That's where I want access to. I want access to the source. I'm a constituent. It's my water. Your entity, I would look in the camera. Your agency manages my water. All right. Y'all stole the water from Bark Hamstead and all them people, but now it's Hartford's water. So I'm a Hartford constituent. It's my water. It's not your water. And until people look at it that way, they'll be given the power to someone else to make the decisions. So yeah, when you walk up in there, Rob Sampson knows exactly who you are. You are a constituent. You have the ability to affect his immediate future. Talk about outcomes and talk about impact. Your phone call and a dedicated 10 people can put him out of office. He understands that. Every elected official understands that. That's why when you walk up as a constituent, things change. Lobbyists are paid. They're a dime a dozen. Some of them are better than others. All right? But they're lobbyists. The lobbyists they got money. They know how to move agendas through the system. But you're a constituent. You vote. Don't stand in the line behind the lobbyists. I'm in line behind all these lobbyists that are here being paid by somebody to move an agenda forward. I voted for you. I need to see you. You are my representative. If I can't see you, then I'm going to come back here with 5 more of my representatives, people who actually voted for you. And if we can't see you after that, you won't have to worry about seeing us again, because we're going to start a petition to remove you. And I'm telling you, when that happens, things change. And they don't ever underestimate the one constituent, because it only takes one person. There are people in that building up at the Capitol who won by one vote. One vote.
Just one.
Just one vote. You could be the difference. And every election, no one knows what the outcome's going to be. People would like to tell you what the outcome's going to be, but they don't know. They don't know.
Right now, the roll of the dice, because I haven't seen this much political gossip, and no one knows. Yeah, like people are tracking donations in an impoverished city where, people might sit there and, say they're going to vote for you, and they might, but they probably don't have any money to donate. So, I mean, they're counting money, and I'm like, I don't think y'all, I don't know.
They don't get it.
Money doesn't win elections. Money wins elections if you're playing the money game.
And a lot of them are.
Right. So what is the money used for? Every dollar is used to garner votes. That's all it's good for, getting votes, which means you either have to spend that money on advertising, television time, newspaper time. All right. If you don't have the capacity to go out and put and knock on doors, because you can't do this retail. No one can. All right. If you spend 5 minutes with a person, substantive quality time to talk to them about their issue and how you connect to them and their issue in a substantive way, that you're going to convince them to vote for you. They're not going to buy encyclopedias from you in 5 minutes, but they're willing to vote for you in 5 minutes. Now, that's some pretty serious talk. And that means 12 people an hour if you can move like the speed of light between one house and the one down the street. So you figure what? 6 people an hour with real substantive conversation. If you actually meet those people, you can't do this knocking on doors. So now you got to pay army of people. If people don't know you, if you don't have good name recognition, then you have to plant that in people's minds. That's where the money comes in. And they're going to need an awful lot of it. A lot of it. All right. In a time when people are very disenfranchised about their government. And people might give you their ear, but as soon as they close the door, they don't remember that you came by. All right. So then you got to go out 2 and 3 and 4 times. So you're going to mail something out. It costs almost 70 cents. We figured it's like $2.30 to send out a piece of mail, because you got to have it printed. So, yeah, they need money, but they're going to need loot money. They're going to need $1 million to come up in Hartford and buy favor among the electorate. And that's only if you have the party behind you. So if you don't have the party...
Can we talk about how Luke Bronin forecasted he was going to be mayor of Hartford in his wedding announcement before the man even moved to Connecticut?
He had $1 million. You put $1 million on the street in Hartford, Donald Duck can win. Even if you put orange hair on him. Okay, so, if you got $1 million. Now, most people in Hartford, most Hartford folk, $1 million is, they can't come out of pocket with $1 million.
Nope.
But if the $1 million man bamboozles the regular people who don't get a voice, the third time around, they're not feeling it. They're not feeling it.
He's walking around neighborhoods. He's on people's porches with his tie loosened. That famous one leg up Tom Hanks stance.
I mean, I'm glad Pedro Segarra lost, first of all, and I will openly say that forever and ever. Amen. But I feel like we could have done better than young Mike Peters.
I've never heard him referred to as in that way. That's funny. One thing I will give him,
Is it wrong though?
Young Mike Peters. Well, Mayor Mike was a fireman, and Mayor Mike was a ceremonial mayor, if you will, under the weak mayor system. So, Mayor Bronin was a strong mayor. There's no one can take from him his capacity to campaign.
And military service as well.
Military service, which helped build that discipline. You come back from Iraq or wherever he was in the Middle East, walking up this, North Main Street and Albany Avenue and Cleveland Avenue in the dark is nothing. So, and he walk up on people in the middle of the night. I mean, he's out there by himself, walking around.
No security.
And no security, just regular people. Hey, if you're going to be the mayor here, get to know the people. And you have to give him that. All right. But he was a young 34-year-old. And so if you consider some of the people that are in this race that are older than me, you ain't walking all over the place. It ain't like it was when you was 25. I don't care what anybody, I'm just keeping it 100. All right. So, and he was walking. And he walk up. I've had people tell me story after story after story. Folks is in the back of the house, sitting back there, getting their high on, finding that nice sweet space. And here come Luke, looking like FBI, walking up the driveway. Talk about this dude lucky he get beat down. Say, yo, man, don't let me interrupt you. Name's Luke Brunner. I'm running for mayor. Just want to come back here and shake your hand. And they were stunned. I hear story after story after story of how the mayor did that. But with $1 million on the street and the confidence to go out and do this and not have to worry about anything else and single focused with the help of the party behind you, he won. It's not theory. It's a fact. And he didn't do it just once. He did twice. All right. And he might have been able to do it a third time if he decided he wanted to run again. So now the playing field has been leveled. It's a wide open race. And anyone could win this. Particularly vulnerable are those, I look in the camera for the direct effect. Particularly vulnerable are those whose hubris is going to get in their way and they're going to stumble and trip because they think their money can buy the people of Hartford. To me, that is the height of insult. If you think you can come up in here and run money through Hartford like it's a trailer park. Hartford's better than that. It deserves better than that. And that's why I'm running.
That's fired.
There we go.
I
get mad when people insult my city and my people. My people.
I had to leave some Facebook groups alone because of that.
Yo, can we talk about that $1,000 dinner?
Where do you get your info from?
I'll send you the flyer.
You like some?
It was $1,000. It was $1,000 a fucking plate for the mayoral campaign.
Yeah. Something to drink? Some water?
Yep.
All of that tea.
All right, now guys, we're gonna leave you with that. Make sure that you tune in next week. We're gonna, now make sure to check out Stan's page as well because he does have a show, so make sure to check out Stan's show as well. And we will see you next Wednesday. Thank you so much, Stan, for your time and for your dedication to Hartford. So
before we sign off, I got a couple quick plugs. If you're in the New Haven area Sunday afternoon, myself and DJ Lee Majors will be at East Shore Park jamming together back to back. So come through 2 o'clock to 8 o'clock. Bring family, bring blankets, coolers. Come hang out and hear some good music in the park.
Yes, and June 2nd, make sure to check out Kamara's Cultural Corner for the Lifted Labyrinth. And DJ Stealth does have a question for you, though.
I ask every guest on the show two important questions.
Because the current mayor does have a SoundCloud, and we have nation's only rap troubadour. So everyone else has a singer statewide. Hartford has the only rapper. So it's very important to know that because he is so talented. And the last time he went in front of city council, he actually supported everyone talking about housing, and he recited the poem.
All right, 2 questions.
Mm-hmm.
Are you a fan of hip hop?
I
And
am. Oh, go on.
and if so, who is your favorite rapper or rap group, hip hop group or hip hop artist?
Well, my 2 favorite hip hop artists. I'm a fan of music. I have a very eclectic, so I listen to all kinds of music. But I would be untruthful if I said, like, I sit and listen to hip hop all the time. But my 2 favorites are, of course, he who said he was the god of hip hop, KRS-One, and Eminem. I'm a big
Really?
I'm a big Eminem fan. It's hard to get through some of the cussing, but I like Eminem. I like his videos and I like his message. So, in fact, if you want to know I've posted this on my page over the years. I'm not afraid. So if you want to know where my mind is when I run, the words to that song is what I am singing to the rest of the candidates and the machine that thinks I can't win. And so he can say it better than I can because I can't cuss like that. But those are my sentiments. So when I say Eminem, that's my song right there.
I feel you. And those are excellent answers. And me as a hip hop head, it makes perfect sense. While KRS-One and Eminem, they have many differences, but what they do have in common is quick thinking when it comes to wordplay.
Mm-hmm.
They both have that even skill of being able to freestyle off the top of the dome, be able to freestyle a song, be able to put together a legato sort of concept that flows within any body of work that they do.
Mm-hmm.
And Not Afraid is actually a perfect example because now we're talking about full focus Eminem. This is post rehab Eminem. He's done with drugs. He's done with alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
He goes jogging now. He studio time like a work day, and he drops this monster that hits the pop world in the gut because they didn't expect something this light from Eminem, but still lyrically dense for the underground hit.
Right, he's back. And Not Afraid.
And KRS-One continues to make gold and platinum hits without any radio play, without any major promotion.
Mm-hmm.
And he's currently being produced by a Connecticut native that goes by the name Sun One. He's from New Haven. Shout out to Template Hip Hop.
There we go. I got to get you on my program with Jonathan Small on a Monday to talk about hip hop because Jonathan is a big hip hop fan, and so
I'm a music fan too. You might catch me listening to Rakim or Lil Durk one day, then you catch me listening to Norman Brown or Jeff Lober, Miles Davis. You might catch you listening to Third World. You might catch you listening to Todd Terry. So I have a very diverse musical palette, but hip hop being the generation that I grew up in as man in his late 30s, culturally speaking, is very, very important to not just Black people, but American culture and the way the hip hop culture itself and aspects of it has influenced various parts of the world.
Mm-hmm.
Like in Japan, they adopted dance first before rapping ever came to shore. So their version of hip hop culture is different from ours, but it wouldn't happen without us in the beginning. And that changed Japan's culture, and it's happened all over the planet. And that's all because of some kids trying not to get in trouble in the South Bronx.
And a true American art form beyond the music. I mean, just the whole culture is, So, I mean, I was, I realized I was starting to get older when I DJ'd a party. and I was playing Michael Jackson and no one was dancing. I'm like, what's going on? You know, I was like 25, and then all the young kids was listening to hip hop, and I was like, what is this new music they're listening to? You know, and then of course I was at the TV station. Lorna's Corner was on, and she had all of the hip hop stars, and so I started to have an appreciation and get into it a little bit more. But you know, I listen to anything from Sade to Dean Martin to Frank Sinatra to Sammy Davis. I mean, you know, the whole to Eminem. So I love music, and I love Hartford's arts scene. My favorite thing to capture and document are the artists here in Hartford. We have some of the best talent on the planet in this city. Yeah. All right. I'm also a talkaholic in recovery. I'm not doing well. I will be here all night if you let me. So God bless you guys.
Oh no, we're about to head to Pig's Eye, so I'll see you later.
All righty. Thank you for the opportunity to share with you, and love you guys and love your audience. I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Good night. Bye-bye.
Bye. There we go.